Riding a motorbike can be a great time saver, but often on shorter journeys, I find that by the time I gear up and gear down again, a car or even a bicycle would have been quicker. Is it really necessary to wear gear on such short journeys? And what if you only travel at slow speeds, like below 30 miles an hour? Pretty soon into my motorcycling career, I heard the expression all the gear all the time. Here's what this means to me and whether I think it's really necessary. I'll start off by saying that I've never jumped on a motorbike without full gear, and to me, that means that every part of my skin is covered. In practice, this is a helmet, jacket, gloves, trousers and boots. The only compromise I've ever made is perhaps wearing something that's a little less protective if it's appropriate for the trip. Like I'll wear my mesh jacket instead of my heavy leather jacket, or I'll wear Kevlar jeans instead of leather trousers. I've always had boots that cover my ankles, but I do have a pair of short boots that I like to use during the summer. They're a bit too small for me though, so they don't get too much wear. For me, as long as every part of my body has some kind of protective gear on it, I consider this to be all the gear all the time, and I consider this to be the bare minimum. I also consider it necessary for all the gear to be proper motorcycle kit, so no Doc Martens or sturdy jeans. When people ask me how much gear they need to wear, sometimes I jokingly tell them that they only have to cover the parts that they want to keep. For me, I want to keep as much of my skin and bones intact as possible. There are safety compromises in gear that we make, usually in the name of comfort or looks, like wearing casual looking motorbike shoes instead of full boots. It really depends on your destination. I'm quite lucky in that I have a locker at work where I can leave my work clothes, and there's changing rooms, there's even showers if I need them. So I can quite easily go to work in full leathers and change when I get there, but not everyone has the facilities to do that. Is wearing gear inconvenient? Yeah, for sure, sometimes. But the gear has always been a big part of the hobby for me. Before I got a bike, I wanted to look like some of the riders that I'd seen, riding around in leather kit and beefy gloves and shin-high boots. This is part of the fun for me when I'm getting ready to jump on the bike, so I don't really mind the extra 5 or 10 minutes it takes to get dressed and then undressed when I get to my destination. I do wish that I invested more in Kevlar jeans when I was getting started though, rather than textile trousers, because I find myself keeping my Kevlar jeans on wherever I get to where I'm going, and if it's raining I'll just chuck some waterproofs on top. I find this much more comfortable and convenient compared to ugly textile trousers that I have to change out of when I get to my destination. My leather trousers do still get use, but only really when the weather's nice. I've often debated with myself whether I should always be wearing the safest kit I own, or whether it's okay to sometimes wear something a little less protective for a shorter or a slower journey. More often than not though, I pick my gear depending on the weather rather than the length or the speed of the journey. I have worn my textile kit on the motorway if it's cold or raining, knowing that if I was going to crash, it probably wouldn't hold up. But motorway crashes thankfully are pretty rare, so I'm actually more concerned with protecting myself when I'm riding around town. This is why I pretty much always wear full-length boots, for example, because it's quite common for a car to pull out of a junction and hit the side of your bike, and your feet are going to bear the brunt of that kind of impact. I've also wondered whether I should always wear a high-vis vest or an airbag or a chest protector or a neck brace. I do usually wear some kind of high-vis over my jacket, but I don't ever wear the other three. In terms of armour, all my kit has back, shoulder, elbow, knee and hip armour, and most of it's at level 2. This is good enough for me, and I don't feel the need to start adding chest protectors and neck braces. The more inconvenient and uncomfortable your gear becomes, the less likely you are to wear it, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. I do really think that airbag technology is life-saving kit, and if the airbag that I bought fit me properly, I would have kept it. I think the future of motorcycling is airbag technology, and soon we're going to see jackets that don't even have any armour in them because they inflate in the event of an accident instead. Airbag trousers are also starting to make their way onto the market, and they protect the wearer's pelvis and lower spine. Airbags are pretty expensive, but considering they do the job of back, chest and neck protectors, I do think they're worth it. At the end of the day, the best gear is the gear that you actually end up wearing, even if it's not optimal protection, like wearing part-lined jeans instead of fully lined jeans. I would recommend adding armour into all the slots, because armour is super cheap and it goes a really long way in terms of protection. A £20 back protector literally could save your life, and they're so thin and flexible now that you don't even notice you've got one in your jacket. If you've got trousers without knee or hip armour, pick yourself up a set of pads and add them in. Often people will go without gear if it's only a short or a slow journey, but this is actually where accidents are most likely to happen. Most accidents occur below 30 miles an hour and within a mile or so of your home or place of work. So it's really important to protect yourself against impact and broken bones with armour, even if your gear doesn't have the most slide protection. Often people will say that leather is the most protective kit because it can slide for a long time, and that is true, but if you have a 20-mile-an-hour accident, you're probably going to have a bike land on your leg, or you're going to hit something hard like the floor, rather than sliding down the tarmac for 30 seconds like they do in MotoGP. so impact protection is really important for me personally. I've never been in the business of lecturing people to wear gear. Everyone has a choice, and they can do what they like, so long as it's an informed choice. I broke a fingertip last year, which is probably the most minor injury you can have, but I still couldn't ride for 3 months. I still had to take time off work. I still couldn't eat my own food without somebody cutting it up for me. I still couldn't do pretty much every hobby and sport that I enjoy doing. It would have been so much worse if I didn't have the rest of my gear on, and as well as a broken finger, I had broken elbows and ankles. I never go out on my bike with the plan to crash it, but I always protect myself should the worst happen. Let me know what kind of kit you guys wear on your usual rides, and ride safe, and I'll see you in the next one.